Hey, welcome back to Grandma's Chair. Well, look at stories from r/just no Mill. The first story is about a Mill, who is being quite aggressive and rude to her son and op. I am 29 weeks pregnant and a few weeks ago my Mill asked to touch my stomach. I said yes because she was practically already touching my stomach when she asked, even though I really didn't want her to. She also asked to touch her baby, but that's a separate issue. At that point in the pregnancy, my husband hadn't been able to feel our son move, so I didn't want anyone else to feel him move before my husband did. After my Mill left, I talked to my husband about it and how I didn't think it would be fair to him if someone else felt his son moving around before he did. He agreed since he was so excited to feel him move. We decided we would talk to Mill about it when we saw her next for family dinner on Sunday. My husband saw her before then on Friday and brought it up. At Sunday dinner she was very cold to us and rude. We're ending up leaving early because of it. She thinks that I should have been the one to talk to her about it. While I agree and that was the plan, my husband saw her before I did. Shouldn't be a problem as he is my husband, and we make decisions as a family. She is now refusing to speak to us because we are depriving her of bonding with her grandson. We weren't saying that she couldn't ever touch my stomach, even though I really don't want anyone to touch my stomach, but I understand everyone is excited about the newest member of the family. We were just trying to say no touching until my husband feels his son. This isn't the first time she's been mad at us and our decisions during this pregnancy either. At 19 weeks, my husband, Mill, and I were talking about whether the baby is a boy or girl and how we want to announce it to our families and friends. We would be finding out the following week. My husband wanted to do a gender reveal party with a blue or pink baseball, but with COVID concerns we weren't sure if we'd be able to do that. She said, "I'm grandma, so you need to tell me before you tell any of your friends." She would not accept that it wasn't her decision, and she would find out the gender of the baby when we decided to tell her everyone. She only kept saying, "I'm grandma and I deserve to know before anyone else." This led to a huge shouting match between my Mill and myself about how it's not her call. She went as far as to say she wouldn't let me come between her and her son, my husband, because if it was up to him, he would tell her the gender. Even though my husband is the one who specifically wanted to do a big party where everyone found out at the same time. Please. I need advice on how to handle her and try to make her see that this is mine and my husband's baby, and she needs to respect our decisions for him. The next story is titled, "My Mill Doesn't Believe Our Marriage is Real Because We Didn't Get Married in the Temple." I am 34 female and my husband is also 34 male. We wanted to get married alone in the courts, but my in-laws found out about our court wedding day and came to stand and glare. I wondered why they were glaring. Was it because they didn't approve of me? My husband says it's because they were protesting the kind of wedding we had, that it wasn't a temple wedding. My husband said my Mill was absolutely disgusted that we didn't throw a big wedding for everyone or got married in the temple. We could have asked them to leave but thought they may have had a point on the day, and they were being so aggressive we thought we really may have done something wrong. And we were mainly confused on the best thing to do. After all, we had never been married before and were new at this stuff. We at least thought we should maybe have had a big event. But we didn't have a crazy amount of money and my Mill firmly told me she won't pay for a cent. Not that I'd expect her to, even though it is etiquette. It's just if she's not going to pay for what she wants, then she won't get it, obviously. She spent the entire day telling me this isn't the real wedding and that if I don't create a ceremony right away it will never get done. As I was getting my dress on I got about 7 calls saying I must be railroading my husband into marriage if we are just getting married at a court and I must have some sort of secret motives. A few weeks later my husband's aunt told me that my Mill told her she wished our wedding was like my husband's older brother's wedding where hundreds of people came and it was a temple wedding. Because she doesn't believe non-temple weddings are real, she doesn't respect our boundaries as a married couple. A guest she had stayed at her house one time who have lived together for 12 years as a couple. She wouldn't let them sleep in the same bedroom in her house because they were not officially married. 2 older adults she made sleep separately. Who does she think she is? She had her kids make fun of my shoes, and she took over my wedding photos and staged most of them without me in them on wedding day, as if to say, yeah, this isn't a real wedding, it's just like any other day, there's nothing special about this, and you are probably just using my husband for insurance, because why else would you marry just in the court with no ceremony? Because we are adults who can make our own decisions, that's why. Anyway, how aggressive they acted that day made my husband get a cold, and he was sick in the honeymoon hotel the whole time. My husband says she doesn't believe our marriage is real, that it's phony. And she doesn't give us space, demands to know where we are on dates, then shows up or copies where we went and takes her kids the next week, and they tell us all about the same event we already went to. She also has snooped in our emails before. Obviously we can be very firm with her and get serious about low contact and maybe police. And obviously not care if she doesn't think our marriage is real. But I do wonder how we could get an old-fashioned person to have at least some respect for our space and partnership. This next story is a sad one. It's about a woman who can't get children and now her future mother-in-law is ranting about it. This is the continuation. If you read my previous post on the matter, I can't have children, my soon-to-be mother-in-law didn't like that and did what she could to sabotage our future wedding, telling people not to attend, and calling me defective. My future, no more, husband and his father were going to sit down with her Tuesday night and try to talk sense into her. Well, she won. I don't know what happened or what was said, but my boyfriend came home, and we got into a big fight. Despite what we had discussed before, he now said that he wanted kids, and if I couldn't provide them, the wedding was off. I basically said, "That sounds like your mother, not you." He replied with, "I can speak for myself," and it escalated into a bunch of shouting at each other, and I quickly put together a bag and went to my parents for the evening. I called in sick from work the next day and basically stared at the ceiling. We first met when I was 9, 23 years ago. It went from being friends to more romantic. We dated through high school and went to college together, then after graduation, moved in together. I have never dated or seen anyone else, neither has he as far as I know. We waited so long to get married, because it wasn't important to us as long as we were together. That changed when my dad got a terminal disease, and he expressed his wish to walk me down the aisle. I'm his only daughter, before he became too ill to walk. I'll be giving 2-month notice at work on Monday, to give them time to find a replacement and for me to train him, then moving back to Germany. I didn't mention that my dad is German, my mom American. They originally met when she went there for work. I was born there and lived there at first and still have friends and family there. My friend, whom I had mentioned before had volunteered to be a surrogate, has said I can stay in her spare room with her and her family until I get situated on my own there. I'm sorry, no happy ending here. The evil mother-in-law won and got me out of her son's life. Technically, she got me out of the country. I know I could move elsewhere in town, or even in the state, but I don't want to be alone here. There's too many memories, and I have a strong support group, friends, family, overseas, so that's where I'm going. I have been picked on so many times for so many things over the years, from my height to my accent when I first moved here, gone now. I sound like any other Midwestern girl, to other things, but this one hurts. I was able to handle the others by telling myself, that's who I am. If they don't like it, that's their problem, and I'm sure in a few years, I'll think that about this situation too, but it's too soon. Thanks for reading and your kind words of support. I'm sorry if this seems incoherent, I'm just ranting here and crying, so it's hard to keep a decent train of thought. Update. We'll start with the good first. I left America March 1st and flew to Munich. Sat next to an elderly lady who was scared to death of flying, but was going to visit her son and his family. I don't remember what he did or why he was in Germany. So for the 10 or so hours we were in the air, She held my arm in a death grip, and any time we hit an air pocket or shook around a little, it was a relatively smooth flight with just a few bumps here and there. She gripped even tighter, and later I discovered I had a bruise, but fortunately her nails didn't dig in. After deplaning and going through customs, she met up with her son and his family. This happened before all the quarantine and isolation started in earnest, so not much of a problem there. Then all the fun started with the quarantine, and I've spent most of my time at my friend's house, tutoring her kids in English and generally helping out around the house. I had 3 interviews scheduled before I got here, but they were all cancelled. My uncle up in Kulmbach has volunteered to drive the 3 hours down and take me back up there, but I haven't decided yet. The bad, apparently Jack, my ex, has been having a hard time with this. Normally, when I and the family flew back to Germany in the past, we flew out of Cedar Rapids, up to Chicago or Minneapolis, then flew on to Germany. Apparently, from what a friend told me, he drove out to the Cedar Rapids airport, not knowing we had driven up to Chicago, and I flew direct from there. When I didn't show up there, he went home and figured he got the date wrong. He sent a few letters to my house. I had my mother open and read one to me on the phone, but shortly stopped her. Even though my mother and I have been open about my sex life, there were things in that letter I didn't feel like hearing or having her hear. The letters stopped when he lost his job for non-quarantine related reasons and later wound up in jail. Nobody has been able to tell me exactly what happened, but best guess from what I've been told, one night, he got into a shouting match with his mother, which turned physical, and his dad had to peel him off her until the cops showed up and arrested him, so I guess things got pretty bad so that one of the neighbors called the cops. I never would have expected this from him with anybody, much less his mom. If only he could have fought this hard for me way back when, things might be different. So, as of this update, I'm sitting around with not much to do, but at least I'm not in jail. Sorry for any errors. I loaned my laptop to my friend's son and it hasn't worked properly since, though he claims he did nothing bad to it. He's a good kid, so I believe him that it was probably just an accident. Hope everyone is staying safe and doing as well as can be during this time. Auf Wiedersehen. MIA. Wow, op, MIA, had a long train of feelings. I feel bad for her. Would you have given up? Write that down below. This next story is about a mad crazy mill who taught the OP's daughter that hitting means hugging. So my mother-in-law has never really liked me, female 29. I started dating my husband, male 29, when we were both 17, and she didn't like it at all. He was very sheltered and she had the mentality of, he's my little baby, I don't want him to grow up, you can't date 'cause you're still my little baby. And I've hated it because it made it difficult to have a relationship, but through all the hardships we've come out stronger. And despite everything she's said to me and behind my back, I try to include her in everything. We got married at 24 and at 27 we had our daughter. I didn't really want Mill to be around my daughter a lot, so I've kinda always just avoided situations where I'd have to be around her unless it was a holiday or birthday. This last weekend though, I had a wedding to attend with my husband and we had plans with a friend to babysit for us. She had to cancel last minute because of family issues, and it's not her fault. She's not responsible for my things, so I just had to deal with it and find someone. Except I literally had no time. My husband said he could ask his mom. I really didn't want to, but seeming we had no other option, I agreed and she said yes. We went to the wedding, picked her up, and went home. My daughter this past week has started a new habit of hitting me. I've been really confused, but I ask her to stop and she usually does. She's alpha, really good kid. But last night she hit me really hard and I said, ouch, why do you keep hitting me? And she said she's not hitting me with alpha, really confused look. I asked what she was doing then. She said she was hugging me. And I hugged her and said, no, this is hugging. She then replied, no, that's hitting. I asked where she got that and she said, Grandma. I haven't alpha clue why she would teach her that. It doesn't even make sense. I think she wanted my daughter to tell people that I hit her when I hug her or something. I'm really in disbelief. Update. I told my husband and he said he was disappointed. I don't want to share much of his past, but she used to hit my husband when he was younger, and one day she apologized to him and promised to never again. He swears she never hit him again after that, so he's shocked she have done it to our daughter. I asked my daughter to show daddy how grandma hugs her and she slapped my husband's arm. We were supposed to go over her house on Monday for dinner, but we are no longer going. My husband actually took over and called her to let her know we are no longer associating with her till further notice. She sent me a nasty text about being alpha terrible mother and that my daughter told her all about me hitting her. We are completely disgusted. Grandma will no longer be a part of my daughter's life. My husband completely agrees. We will contact our lawyer and tell him everything going on to have on record. And shortly here soon we are going to make a police report. I'm sure she hit my daughter. I filmed Alpha's short video telling my daughter to hug my husband like grandma did to have record of it. We asked her where grandma hit her and she pointed to her arm, and we asked if she'd taught her anything else and she shook her head no. My daughter can feel the tension right now and has been apologizing for hitting me and not telling me. Makes me even more mad that she is making my daughter feel guilty or responsible. Update. We've talked to our lawyer and we are going to do everything in our power to get justice for my daughter. Thank you to everyone so much. You all have been so helpful. Today we took her to the petting zoo near us because she loves animals so much, and then took her out to eat and got munchies after. She seems a little different today and it really hurts, but she's gonna do therapy soon. We are shook up about this, but I'm gonna be here for my daughter and husband during this dark time. I love my daughter so much and I wanna hug the crap out of Mill. But for legal reasons I'm gonna stay as far away from her as possible, and she won't be seeing my daughter ever again for all I care. Thank you so much again. Much love to everyone. This Mill was really crazy and mean. I think that the Mill needs a visit by the police. This last story is titled, Mill Found a Better Wife for My Husband. In April I gave birth to my last child. Since then postpartum depression has been very different from any other pregnancy and I'm struggling a lot more this time. I am seeing a therapist, but it has been a slow progress. There have hardly been any date nights for me and my husband either, because he works patrols most nights, and even when we try to make a plan for a date, in the end, I tell him to cancel because I don't want to go out. Sometimes I will break down over it. I feel bad for my husband and I try my best to make an effort at the end of day when it's just the two of us. I'm trying my hardest, trust me, but sometimes I'm too tired or just not in the mood. My husband has been an amazing support because of this and am thankful he is somehow patient with me. Mill has caught on to us not going on date nights, given that she would always take the kids for the night when we did. She tried to press husband for answers, but he isn't giving her any information. So secretly whenever we have family gathering recently, Mill has been asking the kids about how we are at home, and when we would tell the kids when our date nights happen. My oldest daughter didn't really know why her grandmother was asking these questions and told my husband what happened. My husband had a fight with Mill and now they hardly have been talking to each other because she can't respect our boundaries. During this time of not speaking to each other, Mill has come to her own conclusions of me and has decided my husband deserves someone who will give him attention. She chose her 35-year coworker was a right choice for him and has been telling her all about my husband, and even her coworker seemed interested, so Mill promised to set up a blind date for them. Sil was recently over at Mil's house for dinner. Mill drank so much that she told Sil everything that she had done. Sil was shocked and came around to our house the next day to give us all the details. This caused an even bigger fight for my husband and Mill, and it ended with husband hanging up on her. Not too long after that, Mill texted husband about looking out for him and trying to do the right thing as a parent. My husband had originally told her that our marriage is fine and she needed to back off, but the moment she sent that text, my husband decided it was time to end. I'm actually surprised Mill would do this given we have gotten along up until this point. Thanks for staying until the end. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video.